All right. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Early Morning Crypto Talk. Bitcoin Brandon here from Los Angeles, California. Today is Thursday. One more day left in the week. Go ahead and type in the chat box where you're listening in from. Make sure you hit the thumbs up button on the YouTube. See, we have Shane West from Chicago, Bethany Gibbs from Seattle, Court Gomes, Port St. Lucie, Florida, Latifa Hassan from Delaware, Tony Pinkston from Philly, Stewart from New York City, Moshe Frazier from Philadelphia, Lance Hunt, Dayton, Ohio, Renee Hoffman, Aloha, Maui, Gina Muhammad, welcome. Interesting 24 hours that has taken place so far. Tommy representing New Jersey in South New Jersey. Jacqueline from Maryland. We will get started here in just 1 second. Got right caught in the middle of trying to do something. Give me a second here. We will get started shortly. As you can hear that, my phone is blowing up. Yeah, this happens to me. Give me 1 second here. right. Let me see here. Where are we? I just got sidetracked for a moment. And let me put my screen share on. I see Bridget Paller from New Jersey, Marty Bali from Hawaii, Nicholas from Sweden, Lorna from Hanford, Vanita from Charlotte, North Carolina, Tommy from Sweden, all the way international. Welcome. Let me click screen share. And I'm loving it. Yesterday, I was practicing on I've got a experimental phone here that is I call it my crypto phone. And I've been playing with this thing for over a month now. Before I start talking about it and marketing it, I want to make sure that the thing actually works as advertised. Unlimited talk, text, and web, one-time payment, don't have a cell phone bill for the next 5 years. I was skeptical. To say the least. So I didn't port over my new number. I just got a new phone. I got a cheap phone and got the SIM card. And I got to say, I am very, very, very impressed. This thing has been outperforming my other phone, and it outperforms my home Wi-Fi. I still don't understand how, but it does. And sometimes you don't need to understand the technology for it to work. So I'm very excited about that. And you might hear me talking more about it in the future. So let's see. Let's go to, and I'm on it right now. It doesn't have any drop calls on me. I was using it all day yesterday. For those of you that was talking to me yesterday, I was excited. So let's look at the market. What's going on right now? Okay, refresh. Coin market cap is at 122 billion. What in the world? You know what? That means the market lost 10, 8, 10, maybe 14 billion. Because it was at 137 billion yesterday. So it is in a steep decline. And this is what we might have been predicting. Remember I said that rebound was a dead cat bounce? Remember I said that? And this is what we're seeing. Bitcoin down 8%. Everything's down double digit. This is in a free fall right now. The question is, where would the bottom be? Best performers of the last 24 hours. Aurora and Maximine Coin. And then it goes red. Worst, PoonDX down 21%. That interesting. Stratus, IOST, Nexo, Repo, Neo. So the entire market is having a downward correction. What's his name? Dovish called that out. And I even agreed with that it can go as low as in the 2000s. See, right now I'm looking at Poloniex, and a sharp decrease is happening as I speak. 35, 69, and look at this, 2 dips. We have this one that took place earlier this morning, and then we had it happen again right now. It's going on as I speak. Let me look at the last 6-hour chart. So, yeah, see this bottom dip. So a squeeze, you see everything was below the middle bar. They broke, it dropped down. So where is the wall looking like here? This sucker can drop down to, in the immediate side, it's already at 35. The next wall is 34.94, 34.61. The sell wall's at 3,600. If it gets over 3,600, we can go all the way back up to 3,800. So we're in a steep decline. Looking at the sell orders right now, everybody is selling at 35.67, 36.50. They're probably selling into Tether. If I was paying attention, I would have also done the same thing because I'm having it in Bitcoin, and I had a sell order that was all the way up to 4,000 region. Didn't get that high, and it dropped. Mafu says, look at MTC. No, 246% on Monday. It went to 3 cents. What is MTC? I'm not recognizing that symbol. Mesh Network. I do not think I've heard of that. The MTC Mesh Network. Down by 0.65%. Wow, it's worth 0.001 penny. Back in August, it got all the way up to 1 penny itself. So I don't know that coin, Mafoos. I don't know where you got that one from. All right, so let's look at what's going on in the markets or in the news. First up, I want to go with Dovish Fed sees cryptocurrency market lose $11 billion in 5 hours. $11 billion in 5 hours. All right, let me put this link in the chat box. Federal Reserve is close to the end of neutralizing interest rates after December hike. U.S. stocks, Forex instruments, and gold extended gains Wednesday, but correcting on Thursday. Bitcoin and Ethereum, Ripple, and the rest of the crypto market reacted negatively. So are they saying this is the crypto market's reacting to the stock market? Federal Reserve released the minutes of its December meeting, which revealed that they would follow a wait-and-watch approach toward their interest rate hike plans, and the U.S. central bank suggested in December moderate rate hike up to 2.8%, but preferred to implement them only if warranted. The Federal Open Market Committee confirmed that their rates were close to the range of its long-term neutral interest rate, implying a pause in their hikes. At the same time, the Fed highlighted that market tightening and global economic slowdown have made it difficult to assert future policy making. The pause of rate tightening cycle sent the U.S. dollar to its 3-month low. The quoted instruments against the greenback naturally took the news well, with mainstream U.S. stocks, Forex pairs, and precious metals noticing an interim surge. The Dow Jones Wednesday at 91.67, up 0.39%, while the S&P 500 advanced 0.41%, and the NASDAQ Composite Index rose by 0.87%. It was the 4th consecutive upside session for the said market. Gold price opened Thursday on a positive note. The spot price was up 0.2% at $1,289.50 per ounce. U.S. gold futures rose 0.4% to $1,297 per ounce. The Forex market is now following a remedial course. The euro to USD pair corrected lower towards 1.1500 from overbought levels, while the GBP USD also edged down at 1.275 from its morning opening rate. Again, guys, this is why education is important. This might seem, I remember if I read something like this 2 years ago, this is Greek. All right, what in the world are you talking about? What do these numbers mean? What are these pairs? What's EUR and USD? What does all that mean? Well, this is when you have some financial literacy, which is a prerequisite to being able to hold on to long-term wealth. That this becomes an easy read for you. So I'm saying always focus on getting your crypto education and financial education. The schools don't teach this stuff. You're going to have to teach yourself, or you allow KGX in our community to help you learn. Bitcoin, Ethereum, Ripple drop, and Tron is stable. So the cryptocurrency market started Thursday with a $10 billion loss. See right here? Now notice, by the time this article came out, The second drop hasn't happened yet. So see the chart. See, it's on a downward trend already, right? Then you're looking at, oh, well, actually, I'm looking at this is the months. So this is by month to month. I was thinking it was 24-hour chart, but here's the 20 right here, right here. So here's where the first drop happened by the time this article. So since this article came out, we had a second drop. So watch, let me pull this back 24 hours. So this is the drop the article's talking about right here. But then we've had a second drop since then. And then we had a little bounce. See this bounce up? It's going to come right back down again. We had a little bit of correction, but it's still on a downward trend. So I wouldn't buy necessarily just yet. I might want to see a couple of 3 5-minute candlesticks, maybe 2 15-minute candlesticks of it going into the green before I say, okay, let me go ahead and buy. Let it come up a bit and make some profit off of that. Because even this, you see 35.70 to 36.50 even here. That's a 2.5% gain profit. So this is why you can make money on the dip, and then it might come right back down. Here's about a 1% profit range. Anyways, Ethereum plunges over 14%. That might be because they're about to do a hard fork, and they had a 51% hack on them. Let's see, Ripple corrects 9%. Bullish Tron in a minor correction. Look at Tron went up and then started to come down just a little bit. So after rising close to 50% in a week, Tron is undergoing a natural downside correction from its overbought area. The Tron to USD rate has dropped 4.3% on a 24-hour adjusted time frame, now trading at 0.027 cents. The pair is likely to find some support around its 200-period moving average curve in red. A breakdown will put the same pressure on the 50-period moving average in blue. At the same time, Bitcoin Cash and Litecoin have fallen close to 15 and 30% respectively. Stellar is down 7.5%. EOS has dropped by 10%. Bitcoin SV is bearish after posting an 11% plunge. All right. So let me go on to the next article. This guy says, an easy 25% bond king, Jeffrey Gundlach, predicts Bitcoin price gains. That's something we like to hear. I think everybody's in agreement that there's going to be a gain. The real question is, when? When? Can anybody predict when that's going to take place? That's the important thing. Hold on 1 second here. So easy 25% bond king. Jeffrey Gundlach, CEO of Double Line Capital, who manages over $200 billion in assets, has a tip for speculators. Bitcoin price could rise to $5,000. Oh, I know that. In fact, even Dovish said that he thinks that the high for this year, 2019, might be around the $6,500 range. That is not going to run to 10,000, 20,000 in 2019. That should happen in 2020. But it can get to the $6,000 range. So here's a second person that is saying it can go to 5,000. Let's see what he's saying. According to CNBC, the Wall Street veteran who has earned the nickname Bond King for his expertise in bond investing made the call in a webcast titled Just Markets. I don't recommend anything with Bitcoin, really. But if you really want to speculate, I think it could make it to 5,000. Talk about an easy 25%. Think about that. He's like, how would you like to make an easy 25%? $5,000. Dip before surge. While Gundlach did not offer a timeline, there we go. Didn't I ask that? When? I could sit here and say, yeah, Bitcoin's going to go to $50,000. Okay, when? So while Gunlag did not offer a timeline on when this would materialize, Bitcoin price had fallen by more than 7% since it hit a monthly high of around 4,200 on January 8th. Currently, the crypto is trading below 3,800, having already tested a low of 3,700 on Bitstamp. It's lower than that now. What are we looking at right now? According to Poloniex, it's at 3,574. Let's look at, and I got to check this regularly since it's in a free fall right now. CoinMarketCap has it at 3,672. I'm still, does anybody know, or do they even release this information? Who is CoinMarketCap tying themselves to as far as which exchange for the price of Bitcoin? I don't know if that's Binance, Bittrex. I know it's not Poloniex because they're showing 3,672. Poloniex has 3,575. I'm just curious about that. I'll do my own research on it later. Okay, so he says, for the other asset classes, Gunlex stated that volatility will increase in 2019. According to Gunlock, stocks will hurt as a result of higher bond yields as a tightening agenda of the Federal Reserve plays out. Gunleck also urged investors to dump junk bonds as he raised concerns over increasing corporate and government debt in the United States. Use the strength we've seen in junk bonds as a gift and get out of them. Norris says that they're tied to Coinbase. That makes sense. Coinbase has their own exchange. Well, they don't use GDAX anymore. Investors need to go into strong balance sheets to survive the zigzag of 2019. Too leveraged? According to data from Goldman Sachs chart included in the Bond Kings webcast, the U.S. federal government's debt as a percentage of the GDP now exceeds the household debt as a percentage of GDP. The U.S. corporate debt in relation to GDP is now at a record high, though it is still lower to the U.S. household debt as a percentage of the gross domestic product. I see what they're doing. U.S. household debt, U.S. federal debt, corporate debt. So corporate debt's low, but U.S. household and government debt, wow. Household debt is almost at 80%, about 75%. Government debt is almost at 90%, 85%. We can't survive at this rate. The ones who got bailed out from 2008, they're down here. We paid for it, and we're way up here. We can't, common sense tells you we can't keep at this pace. While there have been a lot of market predictions for the year ahead so far, what makes the Bond King's expectations noteworthy with regards to Bitcoin and traditional assets is his accuracy. If his forecast for 2018 is anything to go by. According to Zero Hedge, some of Gunlack's 2018 predictions that came true include the massive U.S. stock market sell-off, which saw the S&P 500 index falling massively on December 24th. The index has, however, appreciated by 2% since the beginning of the year. Okay, so basically he's been spot on, and Da Vinci's been spot on. So he says 5,000 this year. Da Vinci says 6,000 to 6,500. If you are a long-term holder, don't be looking at making any huge profits on holding coin in 2019. See, when I say I earn Bitcoin, I don't buy Bitcoin. There's different ways at doing that. You're not going to earn Bitcoin this year by holding it. You're also not going to lose, no matter what the price is. You got to think, if you're a long-term holder, you got to think like the Winklevoss twins. You got to think like Mike Novogratz. These guys, these billionaires, that they don't care about what today's price of Bitcoin is. So if you're a long-term holder, the price of Bitcoin right now should not faze you at all. If you're looking at making money off the crypto coins, then one way is by doing the day trading, where you're taking advantage of the volatility of the market. Whether the market goes up and down is irrelevant. The price of Bitcoin is irrelevant. You're making money on that volatility, on the swings, on this. Even though the market's down right now, somebody can buy right here at 35.38. They sold at 35.70, made a profit. Buy again when it goes low. When it does a little bounce, sell again, make a profit. And keep doing, these are what we call micro transactions. These can take place within 15 minutes or 3 to 4 hours. You can do maybe 2 to 3 or 4 of these in one day. And at the end of that day, next thing you know, you made 4 or 5% on your money. And what if you're doing that daily? What if you're making 2% a day and you've got $10,000 in your account? Again, it doesn't matter what the price of Bitcoin is, but you're doing 2% of that's what is that? $6,000 a month off that 10K, something around there. $200 a day. So again, education will let you know, one, where do you want to fit in? You know, that's why, what is my rule number 4? Where do you see yourself in 3 months, 6 months, a year from now? Have a short-term game plan and a long-term game plan. What are you willing to do to make this happen? What vehicle are you using? So I'll use myself as an example. I don't do this all the time, but my vehicle of choice is KGX. Why? One, its foundation product is education. You can't go wrong with that, and it is much needed in this space. Number 2 reason is because the company is still here. It's been around longer than BitConnect lasted. It's been here longer than USI Tech lasted. It's legal here in the United States. So I'm looking at security. Will the company still be here? Yes. I'm taking advantage of the day trading side that I've learned from the education. Which means now that the education we learned, I learned how to day trade and I can make percentage. What was that? One I made last week, 4%. I didn't trade for like 2 weeks. And then the last week I did before that, I did 18% in 1 week. So now you're making money on your own money. That's all I'm going to share as far as that so far. I'm taking advantage of our KGX platform, and I'm taking advantage of the day trading. Not to mention, we've got other investments like green. That's public, so I'll go ahead and state that. Yeah, I'm invested in green. I'm not going to say everything I got, you know, security reasons. But anyways, let's go on to the last article up. And I find this very interesting for international geopolitics. Russia will buy $10 billion in Bitcoin, ditch the US dollar, and become huge crypto whale. That's scary at the same time. See, the Winklevoss twins bought $11 million worth of Bitcoin, but they did that back in 2011. So you imagine what that's worth today. That's not $10 billion worth. If Russia has $10 billion worth in Bitcoin, that's a huge percentage of the Bitcoin market, because right now, the Bitcoin market cap is 64 billion. So they're looking at having like 25% of the entire Bitcoin market. Well, what happens when the Bitcoin market cap itself goes to $1 trillion? Look at what just happened to Russia. their value jumps from 10 billion to like $600 billion almost overnight. Now, don't quote me on these numbers. I'm not a mathematician whiz. I'm just going off the top of my head, somewhere around there, not to be exact. But that also means they exert tremendous amount of control. The U.S. should pay close attention to this. So let me read this article. Oh, I gotta post it. Do you know how much power they would have having that amount of cash or crypto? According to a new claim from a Russian economist, the world's 12th largest economy is about to pour $10 billion into Bitcoin. Do you know what the price of Bitcoin is going to do? It's going to go up. Because they got to buy $10 billion of Bitcoin from somebody. The price is going to go up. Somebody's got to sell $10 billion worth to them. Vladislav Ginko, a lecturer at Moscow's Russian Presidential Academy of National Economy and Public Administration, says U.S. sanctions are forcing, you got that word there. Didn't we cover that the other day about cause and effect? U.S. sanctions are forcing Russia to diversify. So Chris Bernisky says 5 take global asset values. Gold, 7.7 trillion. Stock market, 73 trillion. Broad money, 90 trillion. Debt, 215 trillion. This is a global. Wow. So in the world, let me read this again because I'm processing this in my head. Global asset, $7.7 trillion of gold globally. Stock market, 73 trillion. Broad money, 90 trillion. Debt, global debt, 215 trillion. Real estate, 217 trillion. Derivatives, low end, 544 trillion, placing the world over 1 quadrillion. It's like being a kid, or you're watching that Austin Powers, movie. 1 quadrillion dollars. That's a word I have not heard in a very long time. But imagine that. $1 quadrillion in value, where money's most broadly defined represent is less than 10% of that value. All the world's money and markets. I'm going to save that for later. Something I want to read. So Vladislav Ginko, Chris, I believe, sitting here in Moscow, Russia, that the real factor of Bitcoin, adoption, I don't know, will be when Russian government I'm working for will start investing almost $470 billion reserves into Bitcoins. Wow. So you see what they're doing here? This is what they're saying. Where do they get the $470 billion? They own a bunch of U.S. debt. $470 billion reserves into Bitcoins. I expect that it'll be at least $10 billion in the first quarter of this year. Now, the market has no choice but to respond to that because it's actual even though there's market manipulation going on. You don't drop $10 billion into the market and it not have an effect on the price. At least on the short term. The market is going to go up, and then if they're still manipulating it, it'll correct and come right back down. But you just added another 10 billion. Ginko told the Australian crypto outlet Mickey that at this point he believes Russia has no other option. U.S. sanctions may be mitigated only through Bitcoin use. Because of U.S. sanctions, Russia's elite is forced to dump U.S. assets and U.S. dollars and invest hugely into Bitcoin. So when your broke cousin Pookie says that Bitcoin ain't going nowhere, when clown Trayvon James says Bitcoin's going to go to zero, when you hear this, and then you turn around and see that Russia, Vladimir Putin, talking about dumping all U.S. money and going into Bitcoin instead, who are you going to listen to? Who are you going to? What signs are you going to follow? What trend are you going to see here? Says the Central Bank of Russia sits on $466 billion of reserves and has to diversify in case there is limited opportunity to do so. So they want to diversify this stuff before the hammer comes down on them. A new report from Forbes highlights the impact that U.S. sanctions are having on Russia. Sanctions and isolation are having an impact on the Russian economy. Although Russia is not a big exporter to the U.S., canceled energy and defense contracts in Europe, coupled with bans on financing Russia's key lenders, have had an impact on the economy. Well, that is what we wanted to do. That's the whole point of sanctions. We want to hurt them so that they come back to the negotiating table and give us what we want. Do what we say. That's the whole point. But what if Russia says, nah, no thank you. We have another alternative. We have another choice here. Screw you, Washington. I'm going to dump your money and I'm going to go buy up Bitcoin. What are we going to do? What else can explain the lackluster growth story in the country since 2014? Even higher oil prices have done little to lift the Russian economy. In July, the state-sponsored Russian news outlet RT said President Vladimir Putin gave a speech highlighting the need for alternative reserve currencies in global trade. You have it straight from the horse's mouth. Regarding our American partners placing limitations, including those on dollar transactions, I believe is a big strategic mistake. By doing so, they are undermining the trust in the dollar as a reserve currency, and he is absolutely correct. This is a new century. What worked in the 70s and 80s and partially in the 90s is not going to work today. We need a new strategy here. Putting sanctions on the here's a good example of this for those of you that don't get it. If you grew up in the 70s and 80s, one of the worst things as a kid was when your parents said you're on restriction, go to your room. You can't go outside and play. Why? Because that's what we did. We went outside and played all day long. And it worked. We straightened up real fast, looking out our window, looking at our friends playing and having fun outside. Even if it was kick the can, hide go seek, slip and slide, playing tag until the streetlights came on. Those were the good old days. We wanted to be outside, playing basketball, soccer, football, baseball. But now in this day and age, if I were to tell my kids, you're on punishment, you can't go outside, go to your room, that isn't a punishment. That's what they want. That's not going to hurt them. They have alternatives now. I can watch TV, play my video games. I got my phone. I got my tab. Yeah, I have to think differently now. I'm taking away your electronic devices. I'm shutting off the Wi-Fi. No, Daddy, no. You have to go outside and play. That's your punishment. No, like vampires when they go outside and the sun hits them, like they're gonna burn or something. Going outside is now a punishment. As parents, we got to adjust. The United States government has to adjust. I hope that made sense. Because Vladimir Putin's straight out not even hiding it. He's coming out and telling you exactly what's going on. He's like, yeah, they're sending me to my room. Okay, that's not punishment for me. I'll just use a different currency. At that time, Putin said Russia has no plans to stop using the U.S. dollar unless it is prevented from doing so. And he's playing a game right there. He's playing a game. He's not stupid. He plans on doing that regardless. In Venezuela, President Nicolas Maduro announced that the country's newly created digital asset, the Petro, is an official government currency. The Petro is supposedly backed by the country's oil reserves. After its launch, U.S. President Donald Trump prohibited Americans from investing in it, claiming it was designed to avoid U.S. sanctions. That is it. Hope you guys learned something from this, because if our government, and I'm speaking as an American, is not doing what it needs to do to protect us in the future, then we need to do it for ourselves. That's the spirit of America in the first place. What are you personally doing to make sure that your family is protected during these times? Like Jim Rohn says, my ultimate goal is to create a financial wall so high around my family that nothing can penetrate it. What steps are you taking to make that happen? And if you have no idea where to get started, that's okay. That's why KGX is here. We can show you how to get your foot into the door through education first. And this is Thursday, which means I'm doing a live KGX presentation tonight. 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Pacific. KGXglobal.info. Let me put that in the chat box. Yeah, I thought that article's too big for me to put the link in here. So you're going to have to look that one up. It's on the Daily Huddle about that article. So let me put www.kgxglobal.info. There you go. Tonight, 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Pacific. We keep it short and sweet. And if there's major news in the market, I'll probably do a crypto talk maybe an hour before, 8 p.m. Eastern. We'll see. So let's look at the market again since I've been speaking for 45 minutes. Has there been any new update? All right, still in a free fall. Now we're down negative 9% while we speak. It was at 5% when I got started. Current price they're saying is 36.68. Poloniex real time is 35.78. Still, look at that. Last 24 hours. Boom, boom. Straight down. Then we're going to have another chart. It's going to go straight down. See how long this lasts. Seems to be flatlined a bit right here. But I'm still seeing loss, negative 9%. 24-hour high was 39.92. 24-hour low was 35.28. If we were able to recognize the signs, this is when you sell, put it into tether, and let it ride all the way down, and then buy back in again. Here's one thing Dovish said. He's not buying any Bitcoin until it gets into the 2000s. Then he's going to buy. He's got everything sitting in tether. His resources. All right. You guys have a great day. I'll see you on later on tonight. Bitcoin Brandon out. God bless. Bye-bye.